Howdy! I didn't expect to be making another Boundary video so soon, but here I am. As you may have already heard, Boundary is shutting down. Editor Milky here. As of this morning, the Boundary servers have been shut down. Depending on where you heard it though, it could be the decision of the devs or the studio. Both have put out a statement claiming the other is at fault, and to be honest, I don't know who to trust, but I blame both of them. To try to find an answer of what really happened, I did a little digging and I think I have an idea. So, let's start at the beginning. December 2014, the founders first met and came up with the idea of Boundary, and over the next year they started putting pieces together to form a game. In June 2016, Sony announced Boundary in the China Hero Project initially as VR with a single player component. Over time, they would upload different videos showing what they were working on and polishing up. Then in 2018, they would have a demo at China Joy with another one in 2019 at Gamescom. Initially, they were aiming for a Q1 2020 release date, but that got delayed to just generally 2020, but that also got delayed because of COVID. In a later interview, they discussed all the difficulties they had during COVID. For instance, they had to change from PS4 to PS5 just because of the times, but also due to the development changes, they lost members working on the game and had to look for new ones, which also took a long time because they had to find people who were experienced with PC, Unreal Engine 4, and working on console. It was in 2021 where Skystone would become a publisher and they would announce that Boundary was going to set in the summer, but it got delayed again. Throughout this time, they would have alpha and beta testing, but in 2023, after the last beta test, they would announce that early access would come in April. Which leads us to early access. You can watch my other video if you want to see my thoughts of the problems during early access, but I do want to point out a few things here. So over the past year, I would notice that the devs really weren't looking for help or accepting help, and I found it interesting when a couple of comments that I'll put on the screen shows that we wanted to help, but nothing was really getting accepted by the devs. And what's funny is I went back through some of the interviews and they had said that they rarely compromise on aspects of the game as far as quality and gameplay. And maybe that's just to say that they will stand firm in how they want their game to be. But if the early access was really for making the game better, I don't know why they wouldn't want to take advice or suggestions. Something else I had noticed that they were kind of unreliable as far as making deadlines. I had asked in the Discord about a roadmap and I was basically told that they wanted to fix underlying issues before they set delivery dates for other things. But when I went back and read some articles again, they had mentioned that they had to remove the ray tracing and DLSS from the early access version, which is one of the things that they kind of prioritized. They had a video about it and they got featured in the NVIDIA showcase because of it, so it was kind of weird. Last thing I wanted to point out was their dev team was probably too small to work on all the stuff that they had promised. Like, I know on Facebook they said they had like 20 members at one point, but they also said during COVID that they lost members, and I don't know how many they were able to recoup hiring new. Someone in the Discord actually pointed out that they had 8, which I don't know if that's true, but if it is 8, that's not a lot. Also, they had a live stream showing their offices and had a whiteboard showing what they were working on. It was great and everything, but then they changed it to like Earth's orbit, like a feed of the space station. I don't know why they changed it, but it kind of leads me to believe that maybe they don't have as many people working and they didn't want to show how many people were actually in the offices working on Boundary. I don't know, it could be something. As for Skystone, I said a ton in the past that they should have advertised more to help Boundary grow outside the Chinese market, which I still stand by. If I recall correctly, there was little marketing to Boundary to the point where I've seen comments saying A, they didn't know the game was released, or B, they didn't know it was a game in the first place. With that being said, Boundary still sold 100k copies, so at that point, I don't know if more players coming into Boundary would have been good, since they're still shutting down the servers. From the outside looking in, I'll say that a lack of communication is partially on them. I don't know for sure if there was more stuff to communicate or not, so Skystone could have been communicating as much as they could, or holding out on us. For instance, after talking to some members of the Discord, apparently there's a separate launcher that's only available to the Chinese players. I only bring this up now because on this launcher, I've been told that there's more content available to the Chinese players, which would have been available if Skystone sent it to Steam. Now, I tried to find any breadcrumbs to point me to this launcher, but I found nothing, so I cannot say 100% if it's real or not. However, if it is real and the Chinese players had access to more content just because Skystone didn't push anything to Steam, that would be another reason to put the blame on the Skystone. Something else I've been hearing is that Skystone withheld money from the devs, and that this caused the devs to have to work elsewhere to get funds to continue development on Boundary. I kind of alluded to this with the livestream comment. I don't know if they did have to work elsewhere, but them changing the livestream kind of shows that it's a possibility. I'm considering this a rumor though, since I don't have anything solid, but that may be due to the lack of communication with the devs themselves, since they're based in China and I don't know Chinese. If this is true though, I would want to know more about why this happened. Was it Skystone being money hungry, or was there an established plan that wasn't executed and thus payment was withheld? Again, I don't know who to trust when it comes to the decision and who did it, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. Some final words on everything. Others have mentioned that games like this ruin the early access program, or that they don't trust early access games anymore, and I can't really blame them. However, for me, I got into PC gaming because of the availability of indie games, so I still plan on looking for early access titles to play. Now I usually wait to see enough stuff to buy into an early access game, and if this experience has taught me anything, it's to look deeper when looking into games. And I'm not really expecting anything from Boundary, but I will keep an eye out in case the devs actually want to release a 1.0 version. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Apologies for taking so long on this one. I did a ton of research and there was stuff I found I want to talk about, but ultimately held back on. I appreciate all the support I've gotten so far, and I have the next videos planned out, so I just need to start putting the pieces together, and hopefully everything goes smoother, so that way I'm not taking a month to upload. Anyway, I hope you have a nice day, and I'll see you on the next one.